Today's story, Retreat by Madhuja Mukherjee.
Thamma, what is it your heart wants most? Jhinuk whispered softly to her granny as the old lady lay in her room with all modern medical facilities and 2 trained nurses to tend to her on her beck and call. The wrinkled old face curved into a nearly toothless smile. Jhinuk warmed up. She rarely got to see this expression on Thamma's face. "Can you take me to Ranaghat once?" A soft, almost as if like a sigh, the wish passed Thamma's lips. Jhinuk turned away, blinking her tears. She knew her father would do everything to ensure Thamma gets the best treatments, except that all his money put together, he couldn't buy the one thing Thamma yearned for most: the personal touch, the loving caress, the company of her family. Jhinuk wondered on what she could do to fulfill her wish, as she saw the smile gradually disappearing beneath the lines of time that filled her features. Despite our best attempts, the patient needs to respond to the medicines for recovery to take place. Her physical injury is healed, but for her to walk again, she needs to respond to our efforts. I am afraid that is not exactly happening here. Jhinuk had overheard the doctor speaking to her father. "We are doing our best we can, Dr. Sethi, but Ma simply won't listen to us. Sometimes she gets so unreasonable." Her father stormed out of the room in exasperation. These arguments, irritations, tempers flying high had become a regular scenario now. At Jhinuk's home, ever since Thamma became immobile and confined to her bed. Till a year back, all was hunky-dory in that posh Bengali urban lifestyle. Parties, movies, meetings and Sunday outings had been doing their rounds by turn, until that fateful day when Thamma slipped in the bathroom and had a slip disc. Jhinuk was in her study when she heard the heavy thud. She had immediately rushed Thamma to the nearest hospital for immediate medical attention. But as luck would have it, her granny's age, coupled with her physical condition, ruled out surgical procedures. And natural recovery at her age was not only time-taking, but also uncertain. Thamma had always been lean, but this dependency and immobility hit the independent core, breaking her self-confidence down. She had long since withdrawn to her Pujor Ghar and Jhinuk time, but this confinement was gradually eating her away from within. Jhinuk could see it, but unfortunately, she could neither reason with her parents nor allow Thamma to suffer on like this. Papa, I was wondering, how about taking a vacation to our native home at Ranaghat this puja? Jhinuk persisted on the breakfast table. All of us together like Chele Bela, you remember? Nothing is as it used to be, Jhinuk. Grow up and be practical. Her father broke Jhinuk's reminiscence. Baba, please, 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 please. Jhinuk was hell-bent this time, she determined. With Ma like this, how can you even say such things? Jhinuk's father replied back, "Baba, Thamma would love it. She really loved it there. She tells me stories of..." Jhinuk stopped halfway. Her father was fuming with anger. So this is what Ma is up to. Just when I thought she could get no worse, now she is using Jhinuk to get to me? Her father stormed out. "Baba, Thamma never breathed a word to me against you or to get to you." Jhinuk ran behind her father to stop him from yelling at Thamma, but she was too late. Her father was already in Thamma's room. "Ma, stop these diplomatic schemes now. Enough is enough. What do you think? I am a fool?" "Baba, stop!" Jhinuk barged in. "Just because you couldn't blackmail me with your drama, now you are using my daughter to get to me, to honor your whims and fancies." Thamma quietly stared at her eldest son, as if waiting for him to finish. Jhinuk stared on at Thamma's blank eyes, rooted to the ground. She had never felt more helpless. "Now you understand one thing clearly. I am not going to leave my well-settled life here for your old age idiosyncrasies. Are you listening, Ma?" "Thamma," Jhinuk called from behind. pain oozing out of her voice. Thamma silently shifted her stare from her son to Jhinuk, looked for a moment, and then shut her eyes. Tear rolled down, losing its space somewhere in the wrinkles. Jhinuk ran to her room and locked herself in. She couldn't forget the helpless plea in the stare Thamma gave before she shut her eyes. Jhinuk felt she had stripped Thamma of the last bit of respect that lady was clinging on to. In the last breaths of her life, she felt guilty beyond measure. She lay locked in her room for hours, crying her anger, guilt, and helplessness out. She had not even responded to her mother's persistent knocks and persuasions. Thamma will not live like this. Jhinuk finally took a call. She had to. She had no choice. A fortnight had passed since that showdown. Jhinuk had not spoken to her father since. In fact, she mostly kept to herself. Not that truce had not been attempted, but Jhinuk had decided to take a stand this time. It was just another Monday morning, except that it was also Mahalaya. But in Jhinuk's home, it didn't create much of a difference. Everyone was as usual getting ready for their daily course. Sir, there is a problem. The nurse panted nervously in front of Jhinuk's father. What is it now? Mr. Singhorai looked up from his newspaper. Sir, actually last night Jhinuk madam insisted that she will stay with your mother and asked me to leave. I had tried to reason with her, but she was persistent. It was late, so I didn't disturb you. But sir, today morning when I entered her room to give the morning dosage of medicines, both Jhinuk madam and your mother was not there in the room. The nurse stopped for a breath, afraid she might not survive the wrath of her employer, to finish the sentence. You are fired. Mr. Singhorai stood up, ominously calm. Leela, he called for his wife. Your daughter just crossed the line way beyond measure. She thinks she's the perfect idealist who can set all things right. Mr. Singhorai continued his monologue as his wife listened on. She deserves to be taught a lesson, and so does my mother. Call for the driver. In an hour's time, I know where Jhinuk is. We need to go to Ranaghat, for once and for all. Having reached their native house at Ranaghat, Mr. Singhorai stepped in with his wife, with a mind to finally close the matter forever. He was decided he would today make his stand very clear. Having walked in from the portico to the hall room, he saw his mother's wheelchair stationed near the center table, facing her back to them. Mr. Singhorai looked at his wife, with a look stating, "Told you." Just as he was about to address his mother, a child's voice emerged out of nowhere. Ma! Oh, Ma! A shrill voice broke through the silence of the old house. Mr. Singhorai rushed to his mother's side. He was taken aback by what he saw. Open in front of him was his daughter's laptop, and playing on it was his own childhood video. Mr. Singhorai stared at the screen, dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. Recovering from his shock, he shifted his gaze to his mother. It was as if he was seeing his mother in a new avatar. She was not only smiling, but she actually looked much better than she had in months. Open in her lap was the album that treasured his childhood memories. His mother was staring at the laptop screen, just like a child who had found her most favorite toy after a really long time. Finally, Baba and Ma has arrived. Jhinuk stepped into the room, followed by Himu, their old cook, cum caretaker of the property. Himu was carrying a tray full of home-cooked evening snacks and tea. Baba, I didn't mean to trouble you. Mr. Singhorai looked at Jhinuk, but this time it wasn't his daughter who was talking. He turned to his mother. I have been your mother for so long that I forgot to be anyone else. All I am and can ever be is your mother. I know you are very busy. You have a life too. But you are all I ever had. You are not only my son, you are my identity. The one which I created with my love, care, sincerity and life. I don't need doctors to recover. I need you. I only wanted to come here because it is here where, at least in the memories around these walls, I still have you with me. The old lady choked on her tears. Mr. Shingorai fell on his knees, his eyes moist. He had not realized when he had started to cry. I am sorry, Ma. I didn't mean to. I thought you were... He fell short of words because it was only that day, for the very first time in many years, he realized the blunder he had committed. He understood that in his chase for the transient, he was on the verge of destroying his only permanent asset, his family. You are and will always remain my little burro. Thamma smiled as she comforted her son. Now I am at peace. My soul is at peace. Thamma looked at Jhinuk. This time, the stare was not blank. It was one of genuine contentment and gladness. Sir, how long should I wait before you start? The driver had arrived. Everyone turned to Mr. Shingorai for his response. It will take us a while, Bahadur. I just arrived. I suggest you take a leave. I will drive my family back when we are all ready.